And then when we start, you
We
can
are.
just kind of.
Hold
Oh,
on.
go ahead.
Mm. 1 second. We live. So hold on.
The Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. My dad, my partner, my co-host, Cowboy Joe 64.
I am your father.
Just to get the Cowboys 2 good games to hopefully understand that they need to go receiver and go high with this next pick.
Yeah, yeah, that's really what this is gonna be about.
All right. You looking live at Father and Son Cowboys and Sports Talks. I'm the host, DJ. I tell you what, or one of the hosts, DJ. I tell you what, aka Jules, and I'm joined with my dad, Cowboy Joe 64 on Twitter. And we got breaking news from the Cowboys today, and we're gonna talk about it. So you want to say what's up to everybody, and then what was you trying to say? You want to say what's up to everybody, then we can jump right in it.
No, what's up, everybody? I was just saying I'm gonna send out my tweet, but you can go ahead and get things jumping off.
All right, so yeah, so the Cowboys hired Christian Parker. Now, for you all that don't know who Christian Parker is a defensive specialist. He came from the Philadelphia Eagles. He was the defensive backs coach in Philadelphia, which is I'm gonna give you my reasons why this was a good hire by them, and that's part of it right there is where he comes from. Um, he in his tenure in the NFL. I mean, he played at two black colleges. He's only 34 years old. So 34 years old, he's like my age,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy is 34 years old. He's a young guy, black guy. Um, and he's had his share in the league. When you look at his pedigree, it's pretty impressive. I mean, the teams that he played for, this ain't like a hire when you look at the teams that the guy has coached at and you say, they did okay. No, the teams that he played at are Super Bowl champion teams and good teams known for having good defenses. You got the Broncos in there. He comes from the tree of Vic Fangio, which is a well-known defensive coordinator. He's one of those guys like Shanahan has a name in the offensive game. Everybody know about the Shanahan scheme, and Vic Fangio is one of those guys on the defensive side of football. Everybody knows Vic Fangio's scheme, and it used to give Dak problems early in his career. Everybody remembers that Broncos red, white, and blue game. That was Vic Fangio, and it stunned Dak. And every time Dak would play against Vic Fangio, it would stun him. But then Dak, as he matured and his game matured, he eventually came over that, and he eventually started winning against Vic Fangio every time. Philadelphia Eagles, they did something that the Cowboys never do, but the Cowboys did this time. See the Philadelphia Eagles. They say, who does the Cowboys have problems with? They have problems with Vic Fangio. Let's go hire Vic Fangio. You know, So that's how they did that. The Eagles, they say, let's see. The Cowboys got some really good receivers. So what we gonna do? We're gonna go get some really good corners to do that. That's what we're gonna do. And so the Cowboys, they did something that they don't normally do, which is they hired someone from one of our rivals, someone that can give us good insight on the Eagles. This is the main team that we're trying to track down in the division. They got someone who is familiar with all the division foes because he's been in the division. He won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. We've seen how he developed Cooper DeJean. Uh, he also is familiar with the Philadelphia Eagles defense. So if there's any free agents like N'Kobe Dean or anybody else that they wanna pry our way that might want to come and help him, it's not like Eberflus when Eberflus had Jack Sanborn to come help him, or like when what was what's his name's player that he had come in, Kendricks.
Eric Kendricks was them.
Eric Kendricks was them. Eric Kendricks was them guy. He brought him in to kind of help ease the transition. So whoever Christian Parker brings in to ease the transition is going to come from a good defense. We all know that the defense is the only thing that kept the Eagles in this playoffs last year. Kept them alive last year. We all know that the offense stalled and how that worked out. So I mean, it's just looking like a good thing. And then also to point out the obvious, he's black. And so, we've been saying that, it is what it is. We don't really sugarcoat much, and especially nowadays, because it's just so out in the open. So what we've been saying is for a long time is that the kind of and it's not being facetious or racist or anything, but most of the time the guys that you want on defense, the defensive coordinators, the trend that we see, they're either like they're young, they're energetic, and they have their bones with coaches like Vic Fangio and things like that. The Cowboys typically don't do stuff like that. They typically go get an older guy or retread, and this time they did not do that. We heard several interview candidates, and we were just like, this is not something that they normally do. Just like when Schotty hired the offensive staff, that was not something that they normally do. Just like when they traded for George Pickens, that's not something that they normally do. So, you can see that the tide is turning a little bit. You can see them doing things that is not normally done. And I'm gonna let you take it away because I gotta get him to Gatorade. So, anyways, yeah, he didn't even open that Gatorade, but it's all right. We seeing things that they don't normally do, and so
Yeah.
I don't know if Jerry is like totally embarrassed at this point, because it's really, really, really like sad to be like, man, the Cowboys are the only team that haven't made it to an NFC championship in since 2009. I actually seen that stat, and then it's other stats out there, like you can compare Josh Allen to Dak, right? And then you look at the stats, and it's like, man, Dak is just as good as these guys, man. And it's just like, you really don't have an excuse.
But can you pull up his photo? Can you share his photo while we got it?
Yeah, his photo is on our
Oh, you pull it up from there. But you said something that caught my attention, and I didn't even think about it until you said it. So he's the first, if I'm not mistaken, he's the first black African American coordinator on offense or defense. We need to check that, but I think I had it right.
yeah, when we remember we had one more, and then we had
Who was it?
I forgot they named him on G-Bag earlier. And then we had Chris Richard. He wasn't a defensive coordinator, but he played a very significant role in our defense.
And they got him out of here pretty quick because they didn't like his antics on the sideline, which was yelling and screaming at players like Sean Lee and I think it was LVE.
Correct.
But,
yes.
But yeah, so I think a lot of us, we kind of settled in the anybody but Gannon court. I think that would have been a terrible hire. And so Christian Parker was the guy that was just rising up the list. And the fact that you said he's 34 years old, so not only did they do something they haven't really done before, so he actually has a title. He's calling defensive plays. Chris Richard, I think he was, but they really didn't even, they didn't even talk about him in terms of, it was kind of like Marinelli was here. Chris Richard was just kind of like his understudy a little bit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy is actually the guy. So yeah, they stepping outside the box. They need to, at this point, it's a break glass situation for them, the way they've handled things over the years. But as you said, I want to learn more about him, just see how he does, call a game. I don't think he's called a game before.
He has not.
That's going to be interesting to watch. But, so I had, Durante Jones was the guy that I had as my number one. Christian Parker, Jim Leonard. I kind of had tags touching on them, to be honest. I kind of had Orr behind them, and they actually interviewed Orr, so I wouldn't be surprised when they build a staff out if Orr is like a linebacker coach. That would be terrific. No,
That
but
was,
he's been a coordinator. I'm not really sure how he'll feel about that, but it is what it is. It's a profession. So,
you know,
but
that's what I was
mhm.
gonna say. To my next point was I was gonna be interested to see who he puts on his staff.
Yeah, that's going to be critical for him because this staff they currently have, all the Chicago coaches, I heard that they still hanging around today. Obviously you don't want to be talking about anybody losing their job, but yeah, that whole staff should just be, um, cleared out, and it'll give them time to find other jobs, and a lot of them will. But you don't need to keep anybody from Eberflus staff. That's the first thing if I was Christian Parker, one of the first things I'm telling them is I'm gonna look at the guys that are here. I don't have any problems meeting with them, but I'm gonna decide who I hire. And so his
One,
linebacker coach is gonna
yeah,
be critical. His defensive line coach, and we're gonna talk about uh, what's the coach that was here with what's his name? I'm losing my train of thought. Defensive line coach. He came from the Jets.
mhm.
Um,
No.
he should have been allowed to call a couple of games. Um, White Cotton.
Yeah, Sean.
So even White Cotton, if I'm you know
I mean, I like White Cotton.
a lot of people like White Cotton. I'm not somebody that's like totally against it, but I just think that
He didn't get no pressure. But
yeah,
another thing
in
also,
the defensive ends, the edges they got worse as the season went along, and so that's the part I don't like. I have I'm good with him coaching, our front guys, Quentin Williams, Clark, Osa. But if you keep White Cotton, you're going to have a defensive end or edge coach, and I'm not saying it should be Greg Ellis, just
well,
whoever it is.
this is what I'm gonna say about that because this is a kind of a murky situation right here because Uh, and I already know it's gonna be some YouTubers and stuff that's gonna come out and they gonna say that this is incorrect. But Christian Parker scheme, he's a 3-4 specialist type of guy. So right, I was getting me and K Rock was getting into a we didn't really we was getting into a we do our arguments. We know it's all fun and games. We do it every day. That's just how we do.
Mm.
But we were saying that he was saying that okay, he was right, and I was right too. But he was saying that the defensive ends in the 3-4, right? And I'm like, well, in our 3-4, we won't have defensive ends. Okay, like there is a 3-4. Like when you look up a 3-4 on the thing, it says defensive end, nose tackle, defensive end. Well, in our situation, our 3 down linemen are going to be Osa, Quentin Williams, and Kenny Clark. Their position is not defensive end. They are all defensive tackles. And so in our scheme, if he runs a traditional 3-4 or anything or a base 3-4, Osa, Quentin Williams, and Kenny Clark would be the 3 down linemen, and Donovan Izaraku, Jadavion Clowney, and whoever else we get that will be edge rushers. They will be standing up and they will be rushing from the edge, coming from a linebacker's perspective in a 3-4.
Yeah.
So they would be needing a line. That coach would be a linebacker coach / defensive end coach. It
Well,
would
it'll
be
it'll be it'll be a linebacker edge coach.
right
So
because they
so
but because they are defensive ends. That's what they are, and that's what their title is. That's what their
yeah,
title are. That's what their title is.
and
They're defensive ends.
and I don't know if you and K Rock talked about this, but in today's game, and certainly you look at it a lot. Honestly, it's really not a 4-3-3-4 or 5-2. You're pretty
Right,
much playing everything.
right.
So
But
even
you have a
just
base. But you have
yeah,
a base.
and
You either
you
have
know
4 down linemen on your base or 3 down linemen on your base.
so that's the and we'll talk about my concerns that I have along with the positive. So like I said, the positive is he's a young coach. You need to have a transition plan. You can't just constantly just hire old coaches. If you hire an old coach, he better be an OG like your Spagnolo, uh, Schwartz, Fangio is one, Zim. It has to be an OG that pretty much when they come in, it ain't really a whole lot they got to do. They're gonna just hit the ground running. But you also need to have you need to have your Sean McVay, your Shanahan, your up and coming coordinators. We've seen them all across the league on both sides of the ball. So this is the first time they've done this. So with that being said, he's going to have to get some other guys to build his staff out, young guys and old guys. So one of the names I heard today that Brian Browder's floated is a guy named Jerry Gray. You're not familiar with him, but you can Google him. So he's a University of Texas guy. I think he's probably my age. He might actually be older, but he's been around the league a long time. He's been on several teams. And so Jerry Gray would be kind of like his Yoda that he could bring in that'll just really be able to, if he have any, uh, questions about whatever, Jerry Gray is a guy that can be like, oh, I know exactly what we need to do here. But that's what he's going to need. He's going to need some young coaches too, because the game is moving. It's a faster game. The schemes, the technology. You just can't have a lot of old people on your team coaching players,
especially
and
old
it doesn't
people,
work.
especially old people that don't want to change and don't want to adapt or even attempt
Yeah,
to.
and
I'm
be
looking at the
innovative.
comments. Yeah, and be innovative. See, that's what the Cowboys have not done in 30 years. They have
Yeah.
not innovated anything. And see,
Mm.
Tom Landry, he was innovative. He started the third down back thing, started throwing the ball out the backfield type of deal. You know,
Shotgun.
shotgun. Jimmy was very innovative. He got innovative on a technical side, on a technical standpoint. And during the offseason, concocting trades. The trade chart is his chart. And so that's innovative. It did not start. It would not be a trade chart if it wasn't for him creating it.
And in the modern day draft system, Gil Brandt created it.
Gil Brandt created the modern day draft system. You can't point to anything since Jimmy that the Cowboys have done that is innovative. If anything, you can make a case that they have regressed and went back.
Yeah, Jason Garrett, he took us back.
There's nothing that they have done.
And
that
we still the thing that Jason Garrett for 10 years, the impact he had on this franchise across the board, I don't think it was a whole lot of good. But one of the things he did, he really just kind of set us back with that. He didn't want to play young players. They drafted Martellus Bennett, and Jason Witten was basically like, "No, fam, you ain't playing. You ain't coming in the game unless I want you to come in." So, with your roster, you got to update your roster. You got to push players down. Your coaches, they have to be ahead of the game. They have to be innovative, and they just have not done that. So with him, one of the things I heard about him that I really like is that he's kind of like a really, smart coach from a some people are calling him a genius. He's had it at they're talking about when he was in junior high and high school, he was ahead of the game. People was telling him, you should be a coach.
Right.
So I'm glad that they're going in that direction. Now we just got to see, what it's going to look like when he calling a game when the regular season starts.
I'm gonna go back to what I always say. I always say this, and I've been saying this since we started the channel. What I say is, when the Cowboys do good things, they get good results. And when they do bad things, they get bad results. We knew from day one that when Schotty was hired that he was going to be a good coach, a good offensive coordinator. We knew that. We knew that. And we knew that when they traded for George Pickens, that this was going to be an awesome thing. We knew that. There was no question about it. And we also knew that when they hired Eberflus, that was terrible. And we knew that. We knew that off the top. And so when they do things like they're supposed to do, it normally works out. And now
the way Garrett was hired was bad from the start.
Bad from the start. We knew that. The whole Wade Phillips thing and all that, and we knew what was finna happen. And then what happened to Wade Phillips when he left? He went and won a championship with Denver. So we knew we know what happens. We knew when Sean Payton left that was a bad thing. Sean Payton should have been here and he should have been our coach. What did Sean Payton do? He goes to an NFC. He goes to a Super Bowl with the Saints, and now he's finna go to one with Denver. So, well, he could have, if his quarterback didn't get hurt. So,
He still might win the game.
he still because he's that good of a coach. You see,
Yeah.
and so they when they do good things happen, and when they do bad things happen. We knew when they traded Michael that was catastrophe, and that's what happened this
Hmm.
season. It was catastrophe. We knew it. So the only thing that I would say about Schotty that he's done that's innovative, but I'll give Schotty this. Shotty is the only person that I know of, and the only coach that I can see. The only thing that I can say that he's done that was innovative was he said, "Nah, we're gonna have two number one receivers, and it's just not gonna be no like 1A, 1B. We're gonna have 1A and 1A. That's what we're gonna do because he didn't have to trade for Pickens, and they give him credit for trading for Pickens because when they traded for Pickens, they said that Shotty. We knew the whole time that Shotty was in the background working on the Pickens deal. That's what they said out of their mouth. So we're not giving Jerry and Steven credit for nothing. They don't get credit for hiring Christian Parker because they didn't hire Christian Parker. Shotty did. And on top of that, even if they did hire Christian Parker, you're not gonna get credit for doing what you're supposed to do.
So we are
So
hearing some things, and we got to talk about this later in the week. There is some discussion that Durante Jones was the first choice for Shotty, and Steven and Jerry were not okay with that. It's the same thing we heard a few days ago that the coordinator Brian Flores that they were just not, they was like, no, we're not doing that for some of the same reasons. So we got to kind of do some research on what that's all about. It's typically with them, they don't want somebody that's coming in, you know, really in charge, not agreeing with them, going against the grain with what they want to do with their right kind of guy philosophy.
I also heard that
They're-
I heard that Christian Parker was kind of asked about what he thought about the current players, and he was just like, "No, sir, they're not good."
Well, I mean, if that's the case again, that's just that's part of innovation too. Some of the players that they have, you just got to look at it and say, can this player adapt to my system? What he's going to implement? Vic Fangio's system. So one of the concerns I have, and we can probably just get into this, is what I said the Cowboys need to do, and Christian Parker might bring all this to the table. They need to have a defensive system that if the coach just let's just say he gets COVID or whatever and he's out for 8 weeks, that's probably not a good example. So let's just say that so he's a defensive coordinator now. Just lo and behold, when the season is over, he has some kind of buddy owner across the league, and this owner buys a team, and he just says, you know what, I'm gonna make Christian Parker my head coach. So Christian Parker is here 1 year. You follow me?
Mhm.
They need to have a system that any coach and any player can plug into. That's what they didn't do with Marinelli and Eberflus. So
Mm-mm.
the Dan Quinn scheme, the Mike Zimmer scheme, the Robert Sala scheme, just name the player. You can just plug any player into their scheme and it's gonna work. We saw with
Yeah,
Marinelli, TJ Watt didn't fit his scheme. So what
that's
did you
not
do?
okay.
You end up with Taco. So
You
my
know,
concern about by Fangio's system, it's a complicated system. It's not one that's it's Vic Fangio is kind of like his own thing. So what I want to see Christian Parker do, hopefully he's going to come in and put his own spin on it, and just his system will be good here. And then if he happens to leave, which is a concern what a lot of people have, they think he's going to be a head coach at some point. So if he leaves, can we just plug another coach in? Whatever players we have, they're going to fit their system. And so I think Vic Fangio's system is a little complicated. I don't know what you think about that.
so this is what I think about it, and I'm getting my information from Google and AI and whatever.
So
So
while you're looking at that, he was in Miami, and he just had to just bounce because the players were not understanding the defense. They didn't like his coaching methods. Now, obviously, Christian Parker is not Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is a get off my lawn guy.
mhm.
But no, Christian Parker, we're gonna do our research to see, what exactly are his schemes, and
This is what it says. That's what I pulled up right here. So
I'm
this is
pretty
it.
sure he's gonna be able to relate to the players. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and I just like the fact that he's young. It's a brain like myself, to where
Yeah.
we're not. He's a millennial. Millennials don't do the we not no. Christian Parker probably using AI right now.
Yeah.
To,
So the players will be able to relate to him. There's no question.
Yeah, and
But then we
he's
got to
also
look at
gonna
is the scheme gonna be too complicated?
listen. It's like this. It's like mode of operation, and it's just like error. You know what I mean? Like when you get an error, no 34-year-old is gonna get an error and then say, I'm gonna do that again. Or I'm gonna do that again. Like you know what I'm saying? Like no 34-year-old coach is gonna do what Eberflus did last year and say, hey, we were blitzing in the first series, and let's just not blitz anymore the rest of the game. Because it was working. That's not gonna happen. So and then also this is what it says. Christian Parker will run a Vic Fangio style defense, emphasizing disguise, versatility, and keeping plays in front of the defense. Likely a 3-4 base, but with significant pre-snap shifts, extensive zone pattern match coverage, and creative rotations to confuse offenses, building on his success with the Eagles and Broncos under Fangio. He's a protege of Fangio, so expect complex systems focused on discipline, teaching, and matching up personnel rather than heavy blitzing. So, you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like Denver's defense. It sounds like the Texans defense. It sounds like
The Vikings.
the Vikings defense. And another thing the Cowboys did, what Brian Schottenheimer did that they don't normally do, that this was the first time that this happened. We was like all year we was saying like we just wish they would just interview all of the coaches that gave us problems, because we have like a number one offense, and we were just saying that all year. Like, why won't they just do something like that? Like, go get somebody off the Viking staff, go get somebody off of the Philadelphia Eagles staff, go get somebody off of Broncos staff. Everybody that gave us problems, that shut us out, we wanted somebody off their staff, and that's exactly what Schotty did, almost to a T. He said, starting with Durante Jones, it was just like, listen, we played Green Bay and we got tied with them. We want to see what they got going on in their defense. We played Philadelphia first game. They beat us. We want to see what's going on their defense. We want to interview somebody over there. That's exactly what they did. So, you got to, I believe the Vikings too. I believe he got somebody from the Vikings and interviewed them. I think it was if it wasn't, they was going to interview somebody.
Durante Jones is from the Vikings.
So they were going to interview somebody from Green Bay, or they did. That dude that I had sent you.
Yeah.
So it's just like they Schotty. I mean, not why I say it's just really eye-opening, because this is just so refreshing, because this is how you do it. This is how you do it. This is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see them do this for a long time. Interview a lot of coaches, young dudes. And this guy interview 9. This guy just blew their socks off, and it just makes sense. It's not like the what was your guy that you don't want, that y'all didn't want, the Cardinals head coach.
Yeah.
So him, if they would have been like, oh, this guy interviewed and blew their socks off, we would have been like, nah, bro, that ain't even it.
Well, we didn't want him for a lot of obvious reasons.
But also Christian Parker blowing their socks off, that's totally different.
And they say Durante Jones was right there. He was my favorite. So, and you know this about me, and a lot of people don't like ring culture. So I'm a ring culture guy. So, he won a Super Bowl last year with the Eagles. I'm not sure if he was with them, because when they played Kansas City, when they lost to Philly, when they lost to Kansas City, was he on the staff then? We got to look that up. But bottom line is, he has a ring. Okay. So my thing is this: if I'm interviewing people and you got a ring, you automatically getting points on in my interview score. And that's Vic Fangio, Todd Bowles, Sean Payton, Sean McVay. You just name them. Give me one of their coordinators, if not the coach themselves, and you already got bonus points with me. So the fact that he's gonna be able to come into the room, he got a ring. So Gannon, he don't have one. And so that's kind of what we're talking about, and what the Cowboys have failed to do over the years. They got away from hiring coaches that had success. When I say success, they had one Super Bowls and sometimes multiple. They just started hiring people that's just like, why would you hire Rob Marinelli? He went 0-16 as a Detroit Lions head coach. That
Why would you hire
automatically,
Eberflus?
why? Yeah, Eberflus. He has no skin on the wall other than his skin on the wall was he had some good numbers at Indianapolis, which let me say it again. The Indianapolis Colts, that's like Division II in today's NFL.
He had Sean Lee.
He had Sean Lee. So I think that's what's impressive about him. And, again, you can't hold that against everybody, but that's just the bonus points for me. So the fact that they hired a coach.
He was a part of the coaching staff that won Super Bowl 35 over the Kansas City Chiefs.
It wouldn't have been 35.
What is it? 45? LIX? 55? What is LIX? What is LIX?
So I know X is 10. So I don't know. We have to look that up. I'm not good with Roman numerals. So it's probably 55. Yeah, it's 55.
Yeah. So they played the Eagles played the Chiefs, right?
They played them twice. So the first time the Chiefs won, the second time the Eagles won.
Yeah. So that's what they're talking about. You can continue. I was thinking that maybe he won something when he was with Denver, but he didn't. Go ahead.
Or with Kansas City. But no, but yeah, he's so again, at this point for me, I like the hire.
No, he was never with Kansas City.
So he was with Denver.
And before that, if he was with Green Bay.
Okay. So Vance Joseph, he's
time out. Hold on. Did Green Bay win in 2020?
2020, no. The last time Green Bay won was with McCarthy.
And what year was that? 2000 and
that's 2011.
11. Okay, so Green Bay in 2020 is a team that put us out. Oh, no, was that 2020 when we got beat up pretty bad? That was 2023 or 2022.
Oh no, you got me confused. But in 2020, I don't know what we did in 2020. But yeah, it's we're gonna definitely look at the rest of the hires and kind of see what's happening there. But yeah, I'm excited about the hire and the way they went with this, just stepping outside the box. That's like so big for them. You got a historic coordinator, and so yeah, I think it's we off to a good start. Now we just got to see what the staff is going to look like, and hopefully he can get some guys that is going to bring the same type of energy. You don't look. Let me tell you something. You don't need no low energy people on this team anywhere, nowhere on the roster. I don't care if it's a special teams coach, linebackers coach, head coach, coordinators. You can't have no low energy people on your team. You're going to lose. And that's what they've been doing. They've done that over the years, and it's never worked for them.
So Christian Parker, I mean, like when I say this guy's pedigree, and you look at this dude's, you like ring culture. You look at this guy's history. So in 2020, went to the NFC Championship.
Okay. Well, we ain't been there in 30 years, so
that I'll let you know right there. Because this says, I think that's what this says. This says division. They beat the Rams 14-3, and it says in the conference championship. That's the NFC Championship, right?
It is.
Yep. It says they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so that's Brady.
Yeah, that's the year they lost to Brady. So he was on the Packers staff. So yeah, that's good. So
it is.
But yeah, he's got his resume is good. Now he's a young guy, so he's just really kind of. It's gonna be like a really big step for him. So yeah, but hey, it is what it is. So
he shot up the board. I mean, he was a defensive back coach at Virginia State in 2013. Now he 34. So if that's at 2013, if he 34 and it's 2026, that means that'd be what? Not that'd be 8 years ago. So that means that he was like that'd be almost 10 years ago. So that means that he was just like he was like fresh out of college. He was like
Yeah.
25. And then he went to Norfolk State and was the defensive back coach there. Then he went to Notre Dame, which is great. Then he went to A&M. So that's Donovan Wilson years right there.
Yeah, they were talking about that today.
Then he went to Green Bay. Then he went to Denver. Then he went to Philly. Now he with the Cowboys. So
and let me say this. So I think that I'm thinking that he's going to be the kind of coach. This is the what makes you from a great coach to a good coach to average. So a great coach can take any kind of player and just figure out a role for that player and just take advantage of it. So the reason I said that is because like Donovan Wilson, let's just say they don't move on from Donovan Wilson, he's gonna figure out, huh?
They probably won't now.
They're gonna figure out. He's gonna figure out a way to use Donovan Wilson, and if they move on from him, they move on from him. We good either way.
The thing about that is it ain't rocket science. You just got to go look at his film from 2 or 3 years ago. Every year he's played with us. He was almost all pro. The only person that had Donovan Wilson looking bad was Eberflus.
Yeah, he thrived under Dan Quinn and Zimmer. The short time he was here with Zimmer, but so that's what he's gonna
piece of our defense. If he wasn't playing, we missed him.
Yeah, he's if they want to keep him, but I think Donovan Wilson is a free agent. We got to go back and look at that. But bottom line is, whoever you draft, we're hoping that he's going to be the kind of coach that he's going to figure out what they do well and deploy that player. This is what Jimmy did in the 90s. Jimmy was like, if you're on the team, you got drafted. And I had to look at this the other day. We're going to talk about Chet at some point this week.
Oh yeah,
I had forgotten. Chet was drafted in the 11th round. Okay, so he was drafted in the 11th round by the San Francisco 49ers, and he started in the Super Bowl. That's because with good teams, what they do, they don't really care what round you in, where you come from. If you can play, they're gonna figure out a way to play you. And if you can't play, you're not gonna be on the team.
That's what I keep saying too about us. It's just like our team now. A lot of our players not first round picks. The most important player on our team is a 4th round pick. Tony Romo was undrafted.
Yeah, and that's what we got away from during the Jason Garrett right kind of guy regime. They didn't approach the game from a standpoint of we don't really care who you are, where you came from. If you can play, you're gonna play. That what they did, like I mentioned it earlier, Martellus Bennett, they were like, we drafted you, fam. We don't care nothing about that. We got Jason Witten over here. He telling us he ain't coming out the field, so we good with that. That would not have happened. That would not have happened in San Francisco or Seattle or Philadelphia or Kansas City. That happened here over and over and over. And they continued that same. Yeah,
it happened with somebody else too.
And he won a ring with the Patriots.
I was just going to say that he left here and won a ring.
When they came back against New England, he was just balling. But yeah, this whole idea of, so hopefully when Christian Parker got a point of his interview, one of the points that he made or the way his philosophy is, we're going to figure out who can play. We're going to figure out who the ballers are, and we're going to go out and we're going to ball.
I'll be interested to see his press conference. And then let me tell you this here also.
Let me, before, don't lose your train of thought. If they, I'm gonna say this, if they haven't learned by now, and they probably haven't.
No, Jay wants credit.
What they're gonna do? So Schotty waited 20 years to get a head coaching job, and some of the things that Jerry said during that press conference was literally like they should have been embarrassed for him. So Schotty's up there. He finally gets his job. His mom is there. His son and his daughter is there. He's talking about, well, I remember when Schotty got fired, and this was a big risk. It's like, dude, this is this dude's day. This is his day that he's been waiting over 20 years, and this is what you got. So what I'm hoping that don't happen when they do the press conference, they should introduce him, let him do his thing, let Schotty do his thing, and Jerry shouldn't have a whole lot to say. Now Steven knows what not to do. Steven is not gonna get up there and say, well, should we ain't ever hired a black coach before and blah blah
No,
blah.
you're
Steven is
not
not
gonna
gonna
say
do
that.
that, but Jerry will. So
Yeah,
hopefully
Steve.
Jerry lets this brother have his moment.
Yeah, and because Steven is more on the like progressive side. Steven is more like I get the kind of vibe from Steven to where it's just like yeah, I know we haven't hired a brother, and that's what we gonna do. You
Yeah,
know.
well, I ain't gonna say brother, but you know what I mean.
No, no, no,
But
no, no.
yeah.
I mean, like I feel like that's his state of mind. Like that,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
his state of mind is like we're gonna do that because it's just
Oh
it's
yeah.
just
So if he's married, if his wife is there, if his mom is there, don't do that, Jerry. I mean, and if
yeah.
you
Please
do,
don't.
and by the way, I'm not gonna even listen to it because of that. You can
And
just tell
then
me what happened.
it's just like the Bills owner. It's just like, bro, have you lost your mind? Like, why would you say something like that about Keon Coleman? Have you just
Eh,
lost it?
And one thing we got to talk about on a future show, I just noticed here in the last few weeks how some of these teams that normally don't do that kind of stuff, they're starting to do that, like what Jerry does. So
Yeah.
Baltimore's owner, he's out there doing goofy stuff now.
Like, bro, what did you
Um,
talking about that Sean McDermott lost these games because of a what? It's just like, bro, you talking
and
about
then Keon Coleman, so I had some concerns about him, and so
homeboy is a baller. I don't care what they say.
my thing is, it's just being weird to me. It's just like the games that I watch, I just don't see him doing a lot. And in that game, he should have been involved in some plays where he was really their best receiver. You shouldn't be throwing that ball to Brandon Cooks at the end of the game if that's Keon Coleman.
He catches
But
that.
yeah,
But it's just like, look, Stephon Diggs had to leave too. And so, it's just like, I'm not buying this.
they missed Diggs too,
And
Buffalo.
I'm not buying. Yeah, they miss him, and I'm not buying this. Keon Coleman is not a good player thing. I'm not buying that at
I'm
all.
just saying that I didn't have him rated that high. When they drafted him, he wasn't somebody that I wanted. And when just me watching the games that I've watched, he hasn't really played that good. But that's just me. I mean, I'm not a
You know,
Bills fan, so I don't watch all of their games. But last Sunday was a game when he should have been out there with. I'm talking about just balling, and I didn't
it's just
see it.
like to me, it's just like you remember when OJ first played for the Bills, how he was trash, and then like a couple years later, they got a new coach and he just turned on. It's just like, yeah, you got some of these players that don't be playing good for these coaches, and
But
it
they
just
shouldn't
don't
have
be.
fired McDermott though.
That was the wrong thing to do. If
Yeah.
you was gonna do something, you probably should have got rid of Josh Allen. Now you're not gonna do that,
Oh,
but you
well,
probably. I
you
mean,
know, now, I'm
you
a Josh Allen fan, so we ain't gonna agree on that.
right, but I mean, they shouldn't have. I mean, like for instance, them losing to the Chiefs when they did in that one game. That's not Josh Allen fault.
No,
You
I
know what
mean
I'm saying? That ain't
they
Josh.
so well we're gonna see
And then
what they're gonna do,
Allen
but
put them up this last week at 13 seconds left in the game, bro. That ain't his fault, bro. So that
yeah.
ain't Sean McDermott fault either. So it's just like cut it out.
Shout out to Big Game James. I like his new show. He was saying he's pulling for Buffalo too. But
Yeah,
back
shout
on
out to Big Game James.
our bat channel over here. So we got to look
Um,
at yeah.
I wanted to say this real quick. I just want to let y'all know we are not out of the cave yet. So with this whole thing, anything that the Joneses seem to have their hands in, it ends up being the downfall of the season. And so the Joneses didn't have their hands in this hiring right here, and so it's turned out good. Now they still have to sign George Pickens and and they need to extend Javante Williams, and we also have to get through the draft. So I mean, like, I'm really scared about that. But all both of those things, I'm under the impression that I mean, George Pickens, they should sign him. They have no reason not to, but somehow or another,
I
I
can
don't.
give you a very big reason
Yeah,
why they won't
and
sign him.
and then also Javante Williams, I've been hearing rumblings about other teams trying to poach him, like the Commanders, and we know what they'll do. They'll say, "Okay, Javante, we'll give you 17." and the Cowboys ain't gonna go nowhere near that. And so, that'll happen.
You
And
should
then
be ready
also,
for that.
that's what's about to happen. And then also, they won't they will go with the running back that they have, Phil Maffa and them. They won't even draft a running back. That's how they get down. They won't even draft one.
Oh, well, if they do
And then
that, you're not making the playoffs.
exactly. And then the second thing is Sonny Styles is gonna be there, but what they gonna do is I'm nervous about them. They'll take the defensive end from Auburn over Sonny Styles.
So I've been looking at this. I'm one thing I want to say about the draft real early is that this year's Ted McMillan is Caleb Downs. We're gonna keep hearing about the Cowboys and Caleb Downs. He's not gonna make it to 12, just like Ted didn't make it. So
He'll go at 10 or 11.
He gonna go to the Commanders. So
I don't know.
ironically, we're drafting at 12.
I got the
Giants-
Commanders thinking like Bane or one of them,
I think Bane's gonna be gone when they pick.
or the
But,
next best one with the one from Texas A&M.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I think it's gonna be a good player there at 12. What we're gonna talk about all this offseason and before the draft, what they just need to do is just do what they did with Christian Parker. Just take a good player. Don't try to overthink it. Don't try to do nothing goofy. That's what they normally do. It's going to be a good player there at 12. It's going to be a good player there at 20. All you got to do is just sit there and pick him.
See, my
That's not what they
philosophy.
do.
This is my philosophy. My philosophy always is the same, and it would always work. I target players. That's what I do. I would say no matter what, we getting Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Love, or Sonny Styles. Whoever's there, that's who we taking. If they
Well,
if
What you got
Caleb
to do is
Downs and Sonny
target players
Styles,
that are going to be there first.
well,
Yeah.
it's a possibility that all three of them could be there. So
Give me the three again.
Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love.
I think it's
I
a
want
very
one of
good
them.
possibility that Styles is going to be there. I'm not sure about Love, and they're talking about the Chiefs are taking Love. The Chiefs are draft. That's again. Let me go back and say this. I just said it. This draft, the Chiefs, the Commanders, they're all picking in front of us. That's crazy. The Chiefs shouldn't be doing anything up there. They should be down. But that's what happens when they had a really bad season. But it's not going to take them long to bounce back, and they're going to bounce back with Jeremiah Love. So, but yeah, it's gonna be a good player
And-
there at 12.
And what's his name? Since he's hired again,
Who? Oh, Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy is back with the Chiefs, and so we already can see what this is finna be.
Yeah, that's weird how that worked out. And then Jim Nagy, who never should have got a head coaching job, he's out in Kansas City, and Eric Bieniemy is back in.
And then I think the Baltimore Ravens, I thought that was a goofy hire.
Who did they hire?
Let me see. What was his
They
name?
hired their coach. Are you talking about the Ravens haven't hired a coach?
I think they did.
It happened today.
Yeah.
So while you're looking at that, Green Bay was a goofy hire. The coach they hired is not Green Bay, but who was it?
It says Jesse Minter was hired on January 22nd, 2026, replacing John Harbaugh.
Okay, well that was today.
So who is Jesse Minter?
So Jesse Minter is the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. He came from Michigan. So
Yeah,
he
that's
was-
right.
He was one of the guys that I was saying the Cowboys needed to hire a coach like that. I was just convinced the Cowboys, I wasn't necessarily saying they had to hire a black coach, but they just needed to hire a young, innovative coach like Jesse Minter, Jim Leonard.
Who did Green Bay hire? What you said was goofy.
So Green Bay's defensive coordinator, his name is Havlet, something like that. He got the Dolphins job. That was a goofy hire.
Jeff.
Is
Dolphin.
it Have something?
Hafley.
He got hired by the Dolphins. It's a goofy hire. Jesse Minter is probably going to be that's their version of Christian Parker. That's a good hire. I would have
okay.
loved to have
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
Brian Flores get that job.
Yeah, me too. That's what I thought was gonna happen. But Brian Flores is gonna end up in Washington.
No, he just signed with Minnesota. He got a new contract.
Oh, he did.
But with the caveat that he's coming back to Minnesota But if Pittsburgh want to hire him as a head coach, or it was the Ravens, then he would have. So he would have been good either way. So now the Steelers might look at Brian Flores, although that's the job that McCarthy is shooting for. Mike McCarthy, that's his dream job.
He should get that too.
And that'll be good for McCarthy because I don't really think he was like a cowboy. We always say, "Are you really a Dallas Cowboy?" He wasn't. But he, Pittsburgh is his hometown. So
I mean, we can't be mad at McCarthy. McCarthy came in here and did what he did a good job. He just
he went
his
12
last
and
year.
5, yeah, 3 straight years.
His last year, he was just going back and forth with the Joneses, and like a man, he stood up to them and did what he, So we can't really get mad at them.
And he didn't get fired. His contract was expired.
His contract was expired. He went toe to toe with them. He bucked. He didn't follow. He didn't follow in line, and so you got to respect him on that.
So we can go ahead and wrap. How long we been on?
About an hour.
So we can come on Saturday and do another show. Let's go ahead and wrap.
Yeah, we're gonna let some more of this week play out. I know we got bad weather down here in Texas and Dallas, and really everybody got bad weather all over America. So y'all make sure y'all are safe. We don't need anybody falling or driving. Watch out for the black ice and all of that. It's really finna be crazy thunderstorm, winter storm is what they say. So prayers up for everyone, and we'll be back on, and we're gonna let this week kind of play out. This weekend kind of play out. It's probably gonna be some more hirings coming down the pipe, and so we'll cover it. And it's gonna be interesting to see Christian Parker's press conference. Is gonna be interesting to see who he puts on his staff, and so we'll be covering that. As soon as they put people on the staff, we'll be giving y'all a breakdown on who they are, where they came from, just like we did Christian Parker. So
we'll talk some more about Parker on Saturday when come on.
Yeah, we'll talk some more about Parker on Saturday. We're gonna do a deep dive into him and look at some film from the Eagles and check him out. And so y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, hit the notification bell. Y'all can follow us on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We up everywhere. And we're gonna be getting ready to expand our channel. It's off season. We're gonna get ready to reboot it up again and start coming on every other day. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned and like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see